Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another preview Q&A show here on All for United. I'm your host, Temi, aka Temi Talks United. I'm so glad to be bringing this show with you. I have some great guests with me. I have Mark, I have Connor, I have James, and we are going to be breaking down this Newcastle game as well as answering all your questions. So everyone who's watching right now, go to youtube.com/All for United. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And at the end of the show, if we get to 25 likes, I'm going to make sure to ask a question. Whoever answers that question correctly gets a chance to win some great merchandise from Football Town Apparel. I'm going to say it again. We get to 25 likes at the end of the stream. I'm going to ask a question at the end of the show. Whoever, the first 5 people to answer it correctly get put into a hat to win some great merchandise from Football Town Apparel. You can be in the hat more than once. Once we get to 2.5K subscribers, we're gonna be doing the draw. I see my guy Stuart in the comments. Evening, bro. Hope you're doing well. Jamie, a regular, hope you're doing well, bro. Let's get right into this. YouTube.com/All for United. Coming off the back of a huge win against Real Sociedad, a big, massive 4-0 win, played really well. Exciting. The boys got some confidence. We saw debuts from Amad Diallo. Really exciting stuff. We got to take this into the league, though. Top 4 is not secure yet. Like I thought it was, and then I looked at the table recently. Chelsea's coming. Who knows what Spurs are going to do. It's not secure yet. So we need to get as many points as possible to make sure we secure that top 4 spot and hopefully stay in second place, because that would be great progress. I'm going to start with Mark. Mark, let's talk a little bit about the Sociedad game. And what do you think we can take from that Sociedad game and bring into the Newcastle United game?
Yeah, we were particularly good, weren't we? I don't think there's anything really we can take away from a tactical point of view. I think coming up against Sociedad, they're very attacking, which allowed us to play our favourite game of counter-attack and suited players like Dan James. But what we can take out of it is some confidence and some positivity. Our record after playing in Europe isn't always the best. And that is a little bit of a worry for me. It's a little bit of a worry. Obviously, the home record still we need to be better. But there were some very good individual performances, and I really hope that can instill the confidence that we know is there. So it's an absolute must-win game this weekend, and I really hope that we go and blow them away.
No, there was a lot of really good performances during that game. We saw Bruno obviously doing what he does, being special. Marcus Rashford, obviously he missed some big chances, but he contributed to the goal, the goal scoring, and I think he had an assist as well, if I'm not mistaken. Really positive stuff. But like you said, I mean, it's a completely different outfit to Newcastle. You know what I'm saying? Sociedad didn't look us up and didn't do their scouting well. Obviously, they tried to play football against us, and that's always a huge mistake. And Newcastle's going to park the bus. We know what Steve Bruce wants to do. He's going to probably have a back 5, stink the place out, and hope that gets him a result. Connor, I'm going to come to you. What do you think that Ollie needs to do to actually have success in breaking down this low block? We've seen it from time to time, but it's never been consistent enough. What do you see maybe lineup wise potentially that he could do? Maybe players that played well, like I don't know, that could make an impact in that Newcastle game.
I think we all know. I think we all want something that different to what he's going to go for. I don't think we're going to see too many changes to what the usual Premier League starting 11 is. It will probably be Lindelof and Maguire, although I think it should be Bailly because of their aerial presence, and that's probably what they're going to do for most of the game is long ball it, and obviously from set pieces they're going to be dangerous. So from a tactical point of view, there's not much you can do. I get it. It's mainly down to the attacking players and to the likes of Fernandes. and our attacking players to create something. I hope Cavani's back, because we're going to need an attacking player who can move the defence around, because most likely they're going to go with a back five and some holding midfielders in there as well. So we're going to need a striker that can move the defenders, because Rashford, Martial and Greenwood haven't been the best at that, certainly this season. So hopefully he's back fit and ready to go for that game. But tactically, I don't think there's too much he can do. I think it's going to be a similar lineup to what we've seen in most Premier League games. It will be Rashford on the left or the right. It will be Greenwood. It will be Cavani or Martial with Bruno behind. So I think it's mainly down to our attacking players. They need to make sure that they take their chances. I don't see us having too many chances, to be honest, just because our record against the low block has not been great.
Yeah, and on that point, I mean, the Newcastle, I feel like the last scoreline against Newcastle was pretty deceptive. I mean, we won 4-1, but I think didn't we get the second goal really late, like really, really late on? They scored first. I think it was from a Luke Shaw mistake, which is surprising because he's been so great all season. But
it was an own goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. But we did struggle to break them down, if we're going to be fair, even though we did score four goals. James, do you think this is a game where we could, Connor mentioned, Bai coming in, maybe Donny van de Beek playing. I don't know what we need to. Ollie wants to see, from Donny to kind of get him in a game like this. But I remember the last Newcastle game, he played a big part in the goal that got us ahead. If I believe, I think it was 2-1. That was the goal that got us ahead. With a Bruno screamer, if I remember correctly. But yeah, what do you think Donny has to do to maybe stake his claim in that lineup? Because even in the Europa League games, we're still not seeing him get any game time. Like what do you expect from Donny? Do you think he'll play in this game?
I mean, I'd like him to. I think it's a very good game for him to sit in maybe a midfield two, pushes up the field a little bit more, because he's not going to have much defensive responsibility, is he? Newcastle are going to set up with five at the back, two defensive midfielders, and maybe some pacey players up front, which if we play by, we can deal with. So I'd like to see him play maybe next to a McTominay or a Fred, just someone more disciplined, maybe even a Matic. I don't think it will happen, but the problem is creating chances. If Newcastle play as well as they can, they'll do a good job on Bruno. I think that'll be a big target of theirs to keep him out of the game. So if you lose that creativity, you've got to replace it with something else. And I think second most creative player is obviously Donny van de Beek. I think if he gets to start in the Premier League, I think that will also do him a bit good in terms of confidence as well. So I think, yeah, I'll echo what everyone else has said. I think Van de Beek needs to start, Bailly needs to start to push us up the pitch further. I think that's an important thing. We're starting our attacks from too deep just because of where our defence sits. So I think with Bailly, we can push up the pitch and start those attacks on the front foot more, rather than having to progress the ball 20 yards before we can really start an attack.
No, you're making a great point. I think Bailly probably does need to play in a game like this. I'm a big fan of Victor Lindelof, but I think in certain games like Callum Wilson might play. I don't know, actually, I think he might be hurt. I take that back. But Andy Carroll could play in this game. Not that I'm terrified of Andy Carroll, but he is a big presence. He can win balls in the air, and that's where Lindelof struggles. I think we all agree that Bailly should come into this game and make an impact. Let's get in the comments real quick. Everyone, make sure to we have 25 people watching right now. Make sure to drop your Manchester United questions in right now. I want at least 5 to 7 questions. You know what I'm saying? So I see Jacob in here. I see Stuart in here. I see Jamie in here. I see both Stuarts in here, actually, I should say. Make sure to drop some questions for us. Drop some questions for us in the comments. Hit that like button. We want to get to 25 likes. We have a long way to go on this stream. We always usually do this for an hour. But yeah, no, get those questions in. All Manchester United questions, youtube.com/all4united. Anyway, formation-wise, we've seen Ollie persist with the 4-2-3-1. I think a lot of fans, especially recently, especially with the West Brom result, a lot of people want to remove that holding midfield, like that 2 holding midfield player system that we do right now. Especially against teams like this where we should have, a majority of the ball. Like you mentioned, James, you would want to see maybe Donny and McTominay or Fred and Donny, whatever the case may be, to kind of push us further up the pitch, give us some ball retention in midfield. You know what I'm saying? do you? And this is a question I'm going to ask again. Do you really envision us ever switch? I'll ask Mark this question. Do you ever really envision us switching from this 4-2-3-1 at any point in the season? Because we've played a diamond one or two times, but it's been pretty much strictly that 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-1-1, whatever you want to call it. Do you think we'll ever see a shift there?
We will, just not this season. Just in a couple of comments on what was made a moment ago, Van der Beek won't start. He was injured or a slight knock, whatever, and I can't see him starting. I think we forget just how good Maguire and Bailly are together, and we saw that run of 5 games that were brilliant, and then it slowly gets forgotten just because he's been out injured again. But last night, he looked a bit shaky at the beginning because he's had minutes out, but actually, him and Harry last night were brilliant, and whenever Bailly's fit, you play them 2 every week, and this isn't a slight to Lindelof. I really like him too, but I think he's basically a Harry Maguire. I don't think it's one in the front 3 either. I think it's one in the midfield, and as Jacobs just said there as well, as soon as we can get one central defensive midfielder that can do both Matic, McTominay, Fred's job, Matic but younger. I said this so many times. We will then be able to play just a one holder midfield with 2 more of a 4-3-3 essentially. But I think it is going to be one in the midfield. I think with Newcastle, their midfield is very leggy, and because of that gives Matic the perfect opportunity to have time on the ball, shore up the defence, and pass the ball around. This is a Matic game. He's going to have that time on the ball. So I feel that tomorrow you're probably more like, well, what I'd start with is Cavani, I think, has got a chance to come back, and so's Van der Beek. Pogba is injured, but I would say Matic alongside McTominay, allow McTominay to play box to box, get further forward, and then of course Bruno. That's what I'd play.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that Matic has kind of gotten phased out almost again this season. He earlier in the season we saw a lot more of him, and then over the past, I want to say 4 weeks, it's just like he's kind of disappeared. And I think he can add value in games like this. The Pogba Matic partnership worked really well in a good amount of games. And since when was the last time we saw that partnership? It's just been Fred and McTominay, not really seeing Matic feature in any of the games. Even against West Brom, I expected to see him play. He didn't play. Connor, to Mark's point, do you want to see Matic in this game? Do you think this is a good opportunity to play him? Do you think that maybe there's a good reason that Ollie's keeping him out of the side? What are your thoughts there?
It depends what the combination is. If it's Matic and Fred, then no, because that's too overkill for a team that's not going to cause us too many defensive problems. Whether Matic and McTominay could work if McTominay has been given the license like he has done in recent games, where he's allowed to go a bit further forward. So I'd only like to see Matic if the midfielder next to him, because it's likely going to be a 4-2-3-1, because that seems to be Ollie's best formation in these games. As long as that second midfielder can push forward and almost be alongside where Bruno is, because Bruno likes to play up with the attackers. So as long as that midfielder can push on, then I don't see an issue with Matic being in there. He's certainly got the experience. In terms of that Matic-Pogba partnership you just referred to, I don't think that would work now anyway, just because that was a few years ago we saw that. And Matic just doesn't have the legs for that. But I think he can do a job in these kind of games. And with the games we've got coming up, we need to rotate, certainly in the midfield, because we're going to have a lot of games with the Chelsea and the City game coming up where the games are going to be won and lost in midfield. So we do need to keep that midfield fresh for the games that we've got coming up. So Matic coming in, maybe resting Fred or McTominay would be good. And it's not like he's going to do a bad job there. Like I said, he's got the experience and the know-how to be able to play there. But I don't think we're going to be seeing, even if Van der Beek was fit, he wouldn't be coming into that midfield at the weekend, whatever the reasons are. Just Ollie doesn't seem to prefer him in these games, although he was very good when he last came on against Newcastle.
No, he was very good. And I see some funny Temi wanted Manchester United question. Seems like his request wasn't sincere. Manchester did not win their first. Yeah, no, we were talking about like recent events, like not like posing questions, like asking questions.
He's just quickly, Temi, that's not correct either. Their first league title was in 1908.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So my guy, Mark Daniel Damians asked questions about, drop questions. We're going to answer the questions at the end of the show about anything current, recent events, whether it's transfers, it could be nostalgic stuff. Like, Stuart's asked some great nostalgic questions, anything, literally anything, but like not that, if that makes sense. I don't know. That was a funny question. But anyway, I said, Ben, you're having a mare with your typos. Stuart, I was actually me. My bad. So yeah, don't blame Ben for that one. Stuart says Ollie will play McFred as Newcastle have started to line 4-3-1-2 in the last few games. Great call out. I like McTominay and I like Fred. I'm just kind of tired of seeing them both together. But without Pogba, right, who normally would play that deeper line position, we're kind of at a loss for options, if that makes sense. James, like, how important do you think it is for us to kind of, I don't want to say find a Pogba replacement, but find another midfield who can create from deep? Obviously, Ollie doesn't want Donny van de Beek playing in that double pivot. I think it's really important that we get another creative midfielder that can play from deep. You can play a holding role, but at the same time, provide some creativity within the middle of the pitch. How crucial do you think that is maybe in the summer? I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think we saw against West Brom, didn't we, that Bruno Fernandes was having to come deep and be that sort of deep line playmaker that he doesn't want to be, and then we missed him up top finishing the chances. The one time he did get up, he scored a brilliant goal. So I think that was detrimental to the squad against West Brom. They even said on commentary how often he was dropping back to the halfway line and picking the ball up. So, he's pretty useless back there, isn't he? But he has to do it because there was no one creating from deep. So I think, once he's bedded in, you've got that player in Van de Beek. There's obviously something going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of, and I hope eventually it'll come good. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because the way it's going, I don't think you can rely on Van de Beek next season when Pogba inevitably leaves, because he's not being played enough to really settle in this season. And I think his performances this season haven't been up to anywhere near the standard of Pogba either. So I think he's shown glimpses of brilliance, but it's not easy to transition from the league. So I think it'll be difficult, because do you gamble on Van de Beek or do you bring in a ready-made solution? I think that'll be the question of the summer.
Yeah, and this is a question. This is like a debate within the Manchester United fan base. Before I even get into that, everyone make sure to hit that like button. How many likes are we on right now, guys? Give me an update really quickly. How many likes are we on? I'm going to hit the like button right now. I'm going to hit the like button right now and check and see where we are with the likes. We are currently at, let's see. Where are we with it? We're at 12 likes already. That's lit. I just hit it. I made it 13. Make sure to hit that like button. We want to get to 25 likes. I already see a question from Hama. So this is a type of question that we're going to answer at the end of the show. How close does everyone genuinely think the team is to being complete? Amazing question. Yep. And then another one here. What was your favorite Manchester United t-shirt, and what is your all-time favorite shirt from over the years? That's a great question. Mark says, how many corners do you think there would help my betting? That's a great question. I love betting questions, so ask some. I do indulge a little bit. So yeah. Anyway, we're at 14 likes. Appreciate it, guys. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, retweet it on Twitter. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, go to youtube.com/all4united right now. Jacob said there's going to be 9 corners. That's hilarious. Don't take any betting advice from anybody you don't know. That's like betting rule number 1. But anyway, I want to talk about the front line real quick. I think all of them pretty much had decent games against Sociedad. Cavani obviously didn't play. Rashford had a good game. Mason had a good game. Dan James had a good game. Martial, the little cameo he made, I saw a few, I unfortunately couldn't watch the last maybe 20 minutes of the game, but the little I saw, he had a good little cameo. Do you? I'll ask Mark this question. Do you think that we should go with? I'll just ask it. Do you think Dan James should play off the back of that result? Do you think that we should see Mason Greenwood play up top again? And do you think Marcus Rashford should, we should run that same front three back essentially? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think he's made a very good account of himself. I've said this on a couple of shows recently that I've given him a lot of fair criticism over the last 6 months or so. Maybe a bit longer than that, but in every game that he's played, more recently at least, he's been brilliant. And I think that's because he's not relied upon so much. When he came in, he was playing every week. I don't think he expected that. Ollie expected that. The club expected that. But now that he's being managed a bit better, probably doing a lot more in training, I think even his final third conviction's been a lot better. And he was superb last night, my man of the match. I said that on the show yesterday. I personally think that if Cavani is passed in fitness test tomorrow, I think that he should spearhead that attack. And I think that we could have Rashford and then Greenwood or James. I don't think Martial will start, and I'm sorry for that, Temi. I don't think he will. I think that, as I said, Daniel James giving him a good account of himself, and even if Cavani's not fully fit, I think you will see Greenwood as number 9, Rashford on the left-hand side, and Daniel James perhaps on the right, or vice versa, Rashford on the right and Daniel James on the left. That's what I personally feel tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, that's a great call out. Mason Greenwood playing up top in the Premier League has always been a worry for me right now because he's so young. I don't think he holds up the ball particularly well at this stage in his career, especially with bigger, stronger center backs. I think Sociedad kind of made it so easy for us yesterday. So it's kind of difficult to assess, how he would do against bigger center backs like Lascelles, Share. Those are strong, Premier League center backs. And I think it would be, like you said, Mark, if Cavani does pass the fitness test, I think it's crucial that he plays up top. I really believe that. Connor, let's talk about one of the forgotten figures in the side, Dan James, a little bit more. I think I don't want to say he's polarizing because he's really not, but when he gets space and time, I think he can be a good player. But I still think we need to see more game from him in terms of, a low block. Will he ever be able to play well in a low block system? I wouldn't start him, but I wouldn't be mad if he started, if that makes sense. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it all banks on whether Cavani is fit or not. I agree totally with what Mark just said. And like I said earlier, I think if Cavani doesn't play, then we could be in a bit of trouble. I don't think Dan James is the right man. Like Abdul said on the show last night, you have certain tools for certain jobs. Dan James, this is not the kind of job that you want Dan James in. I think he can improve on his play against low blocks, but over time, we haven't seen that in the last year or so. That's not to say that he can't improve on that, because anyone can improve. So over time, maybe, but I wouldn't start him tomorrow. Even if Cavani's fit, I'd probably go with Martial, Rashford and Greenwood for the main reason that's a more common front three. They seem to have better link up, maybe not recently, but with Dan James, and certainly because we're likely it's going to be Rashford on the left, so that will most likely mean Dan James is on the right. So he's coming up against Jamal Lewis anyway, who is probably not I don't think anyone's as quick as Dan James, but he's got a decent pace on him as well. So he's not going to be able just to blast past him like he could against Monreal last night. So I wouldn't use Dan James in a game like this. Although he was brilliant yesterday, you use him for the right kind of game tomorrow. Sunday's not it.
No, 100%.
Can I just say something very quickly? Newcastle aren't really a low block team. They actually try to play on the front foot, and they are more a mid block. Daniel James isn't a bad player to play against a low block either. He can play well against every team. It's just because he hasn't been played every week that he's doing really well. And every game that I've seen him, he's played against low block, he's been very good. Now, what you'll get against Newcastle is they probably will be more attacking, a bit like Sociedad, and that exposes the gap between the midfield and the defence, and he will then have the ability. He's actually very good at tracking back, something that he's better at than anybody else on our wings, okay, and in the whole team. And he will be great at getting back to make those defensive moves, and then he will be able to run those channels brilliantly. So I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I don't think he would be a bad option tomorrow night at all.
So to that point, just to follow up on that, and I'll get James's thoughts on this as well. But I don't know if I agree with your point, Mark, that he's played well against low blocks. I've never seen him play bad against a low block. I would just say I think he plays his best when we have to play a low block. Like we're saying, we're facing him like last year against Man City or Liverpool, where we counterattack and then we use him as an outlet. We used to last year we played 5 at the back quite a lot in big games, and he would be kind of that outlet when we got the ball to kind of knock it long to and retain the ball in higher spaces. But what do you think about that, James? I want to get your thoughts on that as well. Newcastle's kind of an interesting outfit. Steve Bruce is pragmatic, but because of the situation they are in the league, to Mark's point, they have a couple flair players up top that can do damage. St. Maximin, like I said, Callum Wilson's hurt, but he's probably their best player up there. But what do you think about Dan James, and then what do you think about the Newcastle how they're going to plan to set out this weekend?
I think, I'm possibly just echoing what the others have said, but I think Dan James thrives on being played in behind. I think the close control isn't quite there with him, so he's not got the ability to actually take on a man. But if he's starting level with a defender and you play a ball in behind, there's no one you'd rather get on the end of it. I think that's where he specialises, and that's why he played so well against Sociedad. They played a ridiculously high line with relatively slow defenders, and it just really played into his hands. We saw it with Rashford as well. If they can just run in a straight line towards goal, it's a goal 9 times out of 10 with them. So it really played into his hands. It all just depends on how Newcastle set up, doesn't it? Because they've got about a 10-point cushion on the relegation zone, so it's not a must-win game for them by any means. They could come here and they could come to Old Trafford, nick a point, and they'd be more than happy with that. I think there's no pressure on them, so it's very much dependent on how they set up. I think I've not watched enough of them to even begin to guess how they'd play in sort of an attacking sense. But they've got the players going forward, so I don't see why they wouldn't utilise them. But I don't think they'd risk being on the end of a heavy loss just to try and play some nice football. I think, especially, they're not fighting relegation yet. There's too big of a gap between them and 17th to even start worrying about that. So that's the only thing that worries me. I think it'll all be on how Ole thinks they'll play, and I think he usually gets a pretty good grasp on how teams will set up. So I think if we see Dan James starting, that will be sort of indicative of how Newcastle will set up, because Ole will have prepared well, and I think if Dan James plays, I think he'll play well. Yeah.
That's just the fascinating points. Bits and Boss, my guy, appreciate you. What's going on? I say, Stuart says, I'd start the same 11 Sunday. We saw a different James last night. He played a mature game. I said on the show last night, he nullified Sociedad's most dangerous player. Great point. To Mark's point, he is our best. He's probably our most natural wide midfield player. All of our other front players are pretty much inside forwards. Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, they're all either central strikers or, wide forwards. Dan James, if he played in the 90s, he'd be a left midfielder. You know what I'm saying? Because he has that ability to get back, and push forward when needed to. Jacob says James isn't a possession-based player. He works well on the flank, bringing a team up the pitch. His crossing from the right is quite basic, and his body balance is not great for a winger. I actually think he's a pretty good crosser of the ball. Like that's one of the things I think he's actually pretty damn good at. Like that might be his best quality outside of space. That's just my thought there. Let's everyone. How many likes are we on? Make sure to hit that like button. We want to get to 25 likes.
17, I think.
We're at 17. Dang, we're making progress. I'm loving the energy. Let's get to 30 likes. Why not? Fuck it. I mean, excuse my language. Ben's gonna kill me for that one.
So it's after Watershed and it's Friday night, so you're all good.
Yeah. Q&A. The Newcastle 95 to 97 team top is often considered one of the Premier League's most iconic. As Stuart beat me to the punch, I'll ask what your favorite non-MUFC shirt. That is interesting. Well, I got to think about that, but there are some really good ones that I'll go back and think about. That's a great question. Let's see. Let's get in the comments. Let's see another question. We'll ask: should we sell Matic and Mata this summer? Great question. I'll make sure to ask the gents that. What else did I miss? Make sure to drop more questions, people. Make sure to drop more questions. We want everyone to get their say in this show. That's the goal. You know what I'm saying? For fan interaction, we want to make sure that you guys get involved in all of the things that we do. We appreciate the support that you guys show us. How many? What time? Oh yeah, we're making great time. This is amazing. We're making great time. But that question by Stuart, I'm gonna have to think about that, man. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. What's your favorite non-MUFC Premier League shirt? Or Stuart, let me ask this actually: is it MUFC shirt, non-MUFC shirts like all time, like Spanish League, like French League, or like Premier League focused? Let me think on that. I want to talk about how important or not important our fullbacks are going to be in this game. Obviously, Luke Shaw, last time we played Newcastle, we mentioned had an own goal, but he's been arguably, outside of Bruno, obviously our best player this season. How important do you think they're going to be in this game? I think, like Connor mentioned, Jamal Lewis is a pretty strong left back in my opinion. Somebody I thought we could have gone after in the summer. How important do you think Luke Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka are going to be in this game? Who did I pose that question? I'm going to ask Connor.
Yeah, it depends how much of a high line we play. I'm pretty sure we'll be on the front foot anyway. So Wan-Bissaka, and it's probably going to be, it will be Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw, barring any injuries. They're probably going to be very high up the pitch, way past the halfway line. So they're going to be important, especially, I disagree with Matt. I think they will play, if they're smart, which, Steve Bruce is no rookie manager, they will come and play a low block. Yes, they might not play a low block against other teams, but they'll probably watch us and realize we struggle against a low block. So I imagine they'll come and play that way. Not so much like a Sheffield or a Fulham or anything like that, because like James said, they're not fighting relegation just yet. So I don't think they'll be, everyone behind the ball, but I certainly think there'll be at least 5 or 6, whether that's 4 at the back and 2 holding midfielders that sit quite deep. So the fullbacks are going to have to stretch the play. We've seen Wan-Bissaka improve this season. I think his crossing's underrated, in my opinion, Wan-Bissaka. I don't think, when you don't have Cavani on the pitch, there's nobody really that can head the ball anyway. And Wan-Bissaka's put in some brilliant crosses this season that people just haven't got on the end of. I mentioned yesterday that when Cavani's not playing, we don't have a player that makes a run to the front post. We don't have a player that makes a run in the number 9 position. So, Wan-Bissaka's crossing is underrated. So they're going to be important, like they always are when we play teams like this, because they're going to be playing so high up the pitch.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with your point about Wan-Bissaka. I want to say like a month ago, he was getting so much, I felt like just so much undue criticism. And last year, in my opinion, he was one of our most consistent players. Actually, before the lockdown, I think he was our most consistent player. And then obviously Bruno came in and then did what he did. But no, these are some great questions. I'm already seeing some. I got off topic here, but Stuart said anything, other leagues, international, whatever. That makes my job so much easier. Thank you, Stu. I have the answers right here. Nuno, forgive me if I say her name wrong. Nuno Morao says hi from Portugal. Sporting fan here. Don't need to thank for Fernandez. Hey, we want to just say we appreciate you guys so much. What a player, Bruno Fernandes. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about Bruno really quickly. I'm gonna go to James real quick. He's been such a huge figure for us this season. Even when he has bad games, he kind of drags us through games. Even when he has poor performances, like he'll come up with a goal, he'll come up with an assist. But I worry that, you know, I don't want to say he's a ticking time bomb, but he doesn't rest. He never gets a break. And I think and same thing with Maguire, but it's a little bit of a different thing with Maguire because he's playing at the back. You know, the way he plays football is much different. He kind of plays at a different pace than Bruno. Do you think there's ever going to be a chance within this season, maybe this game, that we get a chance to see Bruno just kind of get a breather?
Maybe in the second leg against Sociedad. I don't see why not. You know, we don't need to go out and blow them away again. We just need to be defensively solid and we're through to the next round. So I think that'd be the time to rest him if there was one. But you know, it's been completely overstated that how phenomenal he is. But I think he needs the rest of the team to start pulling their weight a little bit, like you saw against West Brom and against other teams where he's had a typically poor game by his standards, where he's just been marked out of the game. And you think if he's been marked out of the game by multiple players, that's going to leave space open for other of our players to exploit. But we just don't seem willing to do it. I don't know whether that's an ability thing or a confidence thing or what. I think, you know, he is a massive success to this United team, but I don't think he should be as important as he is. You know, the rest of the players really need to pick up the mantle a little bit and start helping him out, because the games where he plays badly, it's set up for other players to take the lead.
Sorry, can I just jump in on the back of what James just said there? The reason why I mentioned this yesterday, why Man City have been so successful in recent years, is because, you know, you can man mark De Bruyne, but you had David Silva, you know, you got Sterling, you had Sana, you had so many other players to pick up with us. They mark Bruno out of the game, and we don't really have anyone else. When Pogba's not playing, they're not really too fussed about on current form. Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, they just kind of leave them to have the space. So if you mark Bruno out the game, we're pretty ineffective, or certainly have been the last couple of months.
That's a great point. Sometimes I wonder, like, for me personally, and this is not me coming for Ollie, but like against West Brom, for instance, when a group of, you know, let's say 7 or 8 players in a side have an underwhelming game, in my opinion, that's normally a tactical thing, right? There was probably something within the coaching framework that was off, because there should never be a point where you have, you know, 7, 8 players putting in like a 5 out of 10 performance, if that makes sense. And I'll ask Mark this question: what do you think Ollie can do to get more output from, you know, get more collective performances, if that makes sense? I don't know what it is. If it could be a formation change. Like, what are your thoughts there? And then we'll round up real quick and go to Q&A.
I'll be honest. I think Ollie gets too much of the blame, and I think that if you see several players in the team that are playing 5 out of 10s, that's because they're either knackered or it's just not their day. Ideally, as long as we've got the fitness, which since Ollie's come in, that's increased tenfold. The injuries we've seen since Mourinho's left have been almost, you know, a lot less. And, you know, as long as he sets up tactically, which we've seen many times that he does know what he's doing, I think that sometimes you have to put the onus on the players, unfortunately. And even if that is 5 or 6 of them, that does happen. That does happen, and I do. I've seen a lot of tweets over the last few days, and rightly so. You know, we're quick to single out all 11 players last night for how well they did, but not one person has come out and said, "Well done, Ollie," and the coaches, and that's absolutely spot on. Ultimately, he needs just as much praise and criticism as the players sometimes, and I sometimes feel that the players just aren't good enough on certain days, and you will get that.
That's a great, interesting point. I think that's a fair point to make about when we do, you know, blow out teams, or when last year, for instance, when we, you know, beat the likes of Man City 3 times. You know, maybe Ollie didn't get the credit that he should have. But that's a really fascinating point. I think, you know, us who are a part of this channel, we try to be as objective as possible. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the reasons why, you know, we're one of the, you know, we're growing so fast. You know, we give proper, you know, analysis, proper kind of context to it. Don't get too over emotional. But yeah, no, great call out, Mark. And I'm gonna ask you real quick. We're gonna go around the horn. for score predictions. And I'll start with James. What is your score prediction for this game, and who is your first goal scorer?
I don't like to say Bruno first goal scorer, even though it's probably inevitable. I generally say Maguire first goal scorer, and eventually it will come in. So I'll go with him again, because the one time it does come in, I'm going to look like an absolute genius. So I'll go Maguire first goal scorer and 2-0.
I love it. I love it. Maguire. Oh man, if Maguire scores the first goal, James, you have to come on the post. No matter what, you have to come on the post-match show and just like say I told you so, and then you can do whatever you need to do. All right. But Connor, I know you're not going to pick Maguire's first goal scorer, but what's your score line, and what do you think? What do you think who do you think the first goal scorer is going to be?
Do you know what's crazy? I was actually going to pick one of the defenders, so I might go with. I'll go with a different one. I think scoreline. I don't think we're going to blow them out of the water. I think it'll be a tight game. I hope it's a professional performance, 2-3-0. So I'll go with 3-0. I'm going to go with Luke Shaw. I think he's due a goal with how well he's been playing. So hopefully it's Luke Shaw.
Wow, we are getting some interesting first goal scorers. I'm enjoying this. And so we have Harry Maguire as the first goal scorer from James, and then from Connor we have Luke Shaw, first goal scorer. I wonder how much money you could make from picking Luke Shaw as the first goal scorer for a game. But Mark, are you going to be as adventurous as our two other guests? What are you feeling?
I'm going to have to stay true to what I said earlier, and I said 4-1. To United, of course, and I feel that the first goal scorer will be Victor Lindelof.
Wow, what is happening?
You've got to say the goalkeeper.
Should I just pick Aaron Wan-Bissaka and just round out the back four? Like this is hilarious. No, I love it. But you know what? I'm gonna go with a 2-0, and I'm gonna pick my first goal scorer is gonna be Mason Greenwood. I think he's gonna start this game. And I think he's gonna play, and he's gonna do well. So I'm gonna pick Mason Greenwood as my first goal scorer. So we have a 2-0 from me, Mason Greenwood first goal scorer. We have Mark going 4-1, Lindelof first goal scorer. James said Maguire first goal scorer, and Connor said Shaw first goal scorer. I ruined the back four thing, but you know if any of you are right, wow. It's just amazing stuff. But anyway, that is the wrap up for the preview show. Now we're getting to the fun part of the show, the part I enjoy the most, the Q&A portion. What a fun part of the show. We get to interact with you fans, go around the horn, and talk about some really, really fun, interesting stuff. Let me see what. Let's see. Let's start with the first question that was asked. It was yes. This is a great question from Hama, contributor for All for United. How close does everyone genuinely think the team is to being complete? And this question really scares me. He asked the question earlier in the day on one of the tweets, and it just had me thinking like, I don't know. I really don't know. Like Liverpool, what did it take them? 30. We're in a weird phase as United fans. This is the longest we've been without a trophy or without a league title, and God knows how long. And it feels like every year, like it's we'll do it the next year, or we'll do it the next year. We'll do it the next year, and then before you know it, we might be in our 30s, gentlemen. Or actually, I take that back. Mark's in his 30s, but but for the rest of us. We might be how about this, when we're in our 40s, we could all be in our 40s, and then all of a sudden
good save
and and we're without a league title. But I'll try and be as objective as possible. I think we are a DM, another creative midfield player, a right winger, and maybe two center backs away. Like I don't know if that's being harsh, but if you look at City's squad depth, for instance, right? Like they on the left wing, right? Sterling starts. They could put Foden there. They could put Ferran Torres there. They go to the right. You could put Mahrez there. Ferran Torres, Foden again, Aguero up top. Like it's just endless quality that comes in. Like they never drop off. They don't have De Bruyne right now. They haven't had Sergio Aguero all season, and they are flying. Laporte is sitting on the bench, not getting games. Like, we don't have that. So it's like we need to get to that stage. And I don't know if we can with the current, boards. But it's a great question. I'll pose it to the team as well. I'll start with Mark. How close do you think we are to being a complete team?
Okay, first of all, we need to stop comparing ourselves to Manchester City. We do not have the money available that they do, and they have 2 players to every position. That's just not going to happen. Now, we need a defensive midfielder. If you get a defensive midfielder in, James, Connor, they've all heard me say this loads of times. We can play 2 in front. That be McTominay, Van der Beek, Bruno, Pogba, whatever. Okay. We also need a right winger. Greenwood is our best player on the right. He is able to cut inside and still shoot with his left because he's also very good, and he's also very good at crossing as well. Not given enough credit for that. Also, if we get that right winger, you'll see a lot more out of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The reason why he's so defensive is because he can't overlap a right winger, so he has to stay back. Right? On the right-hand side, no one is particularly good at cutting in so much to allow that overlap. The only reason Gary Neville was I've said this in the last show, I think, but Gary Neville was a great right back, but he was only as good as he was because of the players he had in front of him, and he was able to overlap, and also he was good defensively. So if you see that right winger come in, it's a natural right winger. You'll see Aaron Wan-Bissaka go forward more, and he's also very good at defending. We need a centre-back to partner Harry Maguire. Our perfect centre-back would be Eric Bailly. Unfortunately, made of glass, can't play every week. It baffles me every time that whenever they have a great game like last night, people are like, oh yeah, they were brilliant. It was only a few weeks ago. They'd played 5 in a row and they were phenomenal then. And we seem to forget this. So if we can get in that quick centre-back to partner Harry, that's exactly what we need. And then we need probably a centre-forward as well. I think that, Cavani has been wonderful since he's come in. He'll probably stay for another year on top of this. But we need another out-and-out striker. So defensive midfielder, centre-back, right winger, and centre-forward to be a proper team. We're not going to have 2 players for every position like Man City, and that's the bare minimum we need. We could do with another perhaps creative player like Grealish or someone to replace Pogba when he goes.
Yeah, and I feel like people are underestimating how much of a void that's going to put in the side when you lose a top player, like no matter who it is, especially in that position. It's hard to find another person who can kind of do similar things from deep.
The only 2 players that I can ever see replacing Pogba are Saul Niguez from Atletico and Sergio Milinkovic-Savic. He's a deep line playmaker, and they would be the only 2 players that could possibly have a chance of replacing Pogba like for like.
Fascinating. Connor, what say you about this as well?
It got a different spin on this. It depends on what you mean by compete. If we did what Liverpool did last year and completely bin off every other competition and just solely go for the league, then we're only 2 or 3 positions away, I think, probably. I'm not going to disagree with what Mark just said. I think if we would do it that way, then a right winger, definitely. I was going to say exactly what Mark just said about Wan-Bissaka. He looks so isolated, and he's got to beat 2 people before he can even get across him most of the time because we don't have a person that's filling that right wing slot. Definitely a defensive midfielder because, like I said earlier, then you don't have to play whether it's McTominay and Fred together, and you can have that second midfielder being able to push forward more. And I'm basing this off Pogba leaving because I think everyone knows he's probably going to be off in the summer. And definitely another centre-back. Although I'd love it to be Eric Bailly, I'd love it to be Tuanzebe. He's still a bit young. They're both just injury-prone, and we can't rely on players like that. So if we had another centre-back alongside them, but if you're talking going for like trebles, like we were, in the early 2000s, late 90s, then I think we're 5-6 players away from that.
Yeah, James, what do you think?
I think that. It goes without saying we're a centre-back and a CDM away from being any sort of challenges for anything. I think that will sort out more problems than we probably realise. But, there's got to be an adequate replacement for Pogba. But then along the same lines, there's also got to be a lot of patience. I think the main thing we've got to do is wait a couple of years, because you look at this first team now, and there's a lot of main players in this team that aren't even in the prime yet. You know, Rashford, arguably Martial, Greenwood, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, all players that, you know, they're younger than 25 or younger, should we say? So, you know, they're only going to get better, and we've just got to be patient with them and allow them to blossom into players. But then that comes with the Paul Pogba replacement. You know, if you go all out to sign Eduardo Camavinga, sort of probably the ideal replacement, defensively sound, very, very good at attacking, then he's only 18. He's not going to be.
Thanks, James. I forgot about him.
He's not going to be firing on all cylinders straight away. You're going to have to give him a couple of years. So I think the big thing we need is patience. You know, we might get that squad depth from the academy as well, which is going to require more patience. You know, players coming through looking real quality that can offer that. Not nowhere near this level of City's depth, but a much better depth than we've got right now. But yeah, it's frustrating with the United fan base, because patience is the last thing anyone ever wants to give the team.
No, yeah, it's of course when your success is an addicting thing. It could be probably the most addicting thing in this life. Like when you're so used to seeing the level of success, like no British team has seen that level of consistent success the way we've seen it. You know, early '90s to up until Sir Alex left. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so addictive, and like you said, James, it's you know, patience is hard to get it from Manchester United fans, but we gotta persist. Great question though by Hama. Another amazing question. We'll try to run through these a little quicker so we can get to all of your questions. We're coming up on the hour, but wow, did I miss something? I feel like I missed somebody's question. Yes. So what was your very first Manchester United t-shirt, and what is your all-time favorite shirt from over the years? This is a great question. So I never had jerseys growing up. I'm a huge sports fan, and I just never ever, like, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan for NFL. I'm obsessed with the Washington Wizards when it comes to NBA and basketball. Obviously, you guys know how much I love Manchester United, but I never really got jerseys until I graduated college. The first jersey I got and bought for myself was in college, and I think it was it was LVG's first season. It was the V-neck. It was the V-neck Manchester United jersey. I can't remember what year that was. 13, 14 or 14, 15, one of the two. But my favorite Manchester United jersey of all time has to be 99, like the white collars. Those jerseys are so fire. Like there's just no words for how fire those jerseys are. Like absolutely love those jerseys. I have one. I have a David Beckham one in my closet right now. Absolutely amazing. But guys, what are your first Manchester United jersey and your favorite one of all time? I'll go start with Mark.
My first one was from 92-93 with the laces.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone will know what I'm on about, but if you Google it, you'll know what I'm on about. I think my favorite of all time, I really liked the 08-09 kit. The one with Tevez, Ronaldo and Rooney. That was probably one of my favorites. I think that's a good shout about the 99 Champions League one. That was great. And I'm just trying to think what else. I thought the one after the laces, actually, pretty much the iconic Cantona one with the collar up. It's sort of like a black collar with a white and red at the end, was quite iconic as well.
Yeah, the Cantona collar up is like the swaggiest Manchester United look of all time. Like that man just oozed confidence. But Connor, what are your first Manchester United shirt and your favorite one over the years?
My first one was early 2000. Can't remember the year, but it was Vodafone. If anyone remembers that shirt back in the early 2000s, 2003, 2004. My favorite, there's a few, obviously the 99 one. But I think I'm going to go with similar to what Mark just said, the 07 to 09 kit, just because that's when my fondest memories of Manchester United were. That was around kind of for my era. yeah, that was just my favourite kit growing up. Seeing Ronaldo, Tevez, we won't speak about him, Rooney. Yeah, brilliant team in 2008. So yeah, I'd have to go with the 2008 kit.
Yeah, no, fair enough. James, what say you? What say you?
My first would have been 2006, 2007, the white kit with the sort of gold detail, and I got it for Christmas, and that's sort of why I'm a United fan now. But I had Ronaldo on the back as well, so there's a perfect love story. But I think my favourite, I'll go with Mark's first. I think if we answer another question that's in there as well, I think it'll become a very common pattern. But the collar with the lace, it's incredible shit. It's one that I really wish I had, so I'd go with that.
No, that's a great call out. What a great
I feel very, very old today. So thanks, boys.
I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. First of all, Mark, you look like 20. When I figured out you were above 30, I was literally in shock. Still don't really believe you, but hey, we'll take it. We'll take it.
I'll get my birth certificate next time. All right.
Yeah, no, I'll believe it. But until then, let's ask this question: should we sell Matic and Mata in the summer? I wouldn't sell Matic just yet. I feel like people are obsessed with like it's like a FIFA mentality. Like when you play career mode in FIFA and a player turns like 31, like their rating just goes down. Like I think people really mentally think that about older players. Like Matic is still good. Like he's still a good. Like if he goes and plays for I don't know. Villa or he would be up getting consistent game time for them. I wouldn't sell Matic just yet. Juan Mata, I still think there's stardust in those boots. You know what I'm saying? And he provides a level of leadership and character. That the likes of Mason, Tony, Marcus. I'm almost talking myself into saying I would keep Mata for one more summer, but I'm gonna say I'd keep Matic and sell Juan Mata, but I'm reluctantly saying sell Juan Mata because I still think he provides something for our I said locker room. That's a very American term, but provide something for the changing room that's really positive, for lack of a better term. So I'll just say sell Matic. No, sell Mata, keep Matic. Mark, what say you?
I agree. I think the problem with Matic this season, James will remember very well back in the summer, we were very much, both of us said he's the key to our midfield. And at that time, he very much was. I think the problem this season is I think he's just in decline now. He hasn't played particularly well. And unfortunately, ever since that 6-1 loss to Spurs, that's seen him out of the team, I think. And I think he will be off probably sooner than we think. I think if it was down to me, I'd keep him this summer, but he could be off. I think if we get in a defensive midfielder to replace him, then we'll have Fred as the backup and Matic could possibly go. Mata, I think his time is up, unfortunately. Lovely, lovely man. Love his posts that he does every week, although he hasn't done so many recently. And I really want him to stay at the club as more of a part of the coaching staff. But he's not a right winger. We're looking to get in a right winger. We've now got a couple of young right wingers. He's a number 10. You can't fit him in the team, so I think he will be gone.
Fair enough, Connor. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we keep Matic just because we don't have enough quality cover there and the experience there. So I think we keep Matic for at least another season until we can get a proper DM in there and bed them into the team. So I think we keep Matic. As for Mata, I would probably move him on. Nothing, I love Juan Mata. I've been fortunate to meet him 3 or 4 times now. He's an absolutely incredible person. But I'd like to see him finish out his career playing, whether he goes back to Spain or he goes abroad, goes to the MLS, wherever it is. I'd like to see him finish his career just playing consistently. And like Mark just said, he's not going to get that in this United side. He's definitely not a right winger. You're not going to fit him in down the middle because of Bruno, Van der Beek, and Pogba while he's here is ahead of him. So I'd like to see Mata moved on for himself, really, because we're not going to be playing him.
That's a fair point. James, real quick, what do you think?
I think we're in a very difficult position because we can't sell them for much money. So I don't think selling them for that sort of sense would make sense. And I think you can't underestimate the impact they have on the dressing room, especially with the youngsters. Players of their experience. These are two players that before joining United were winning trophies left, right, and centre. So their experience in that dressing room is going to be, completely invaluable. But then also, if they're not playing, they're on a combined wage of around 250 grand a week. And I think, for 250 grand a week, I think experience is all well and good. But if we are struggling for funds for transfers, I think paying these two, £15 million a year combined is it just doesn't really make sense. So I think if worst came to worst, I think we'd need to get rid of them. But I think for the time being, with what they will offer behind the scenes, I think that is more valuable than the money that they're on.
Fascinating. I just want to, before we get to the next question, Nuno Morale, I love your input in the comments real quick. In 3 years here at Sporting, he had 0 injuries. So he's talking about when I was referencing Bruno playing all the time. I wish I'd seen this earlier. Bruno is playing all games for the last 3 years. He does not need to rest because of the game. He's a great professional, does everything he needs to be on top form all the time. Wow. So literally never missed a game at Sporting, never got hurt. So maybe he's just one of those not injury prone players. Let's get to the another fun jersey question. The Newcastle 95-97 is top offensive center, one of the Premier League's most iconic. As Stuart beat me to the punch, I'll ask, what is your favorite non-MUFC shirt? This is a really, really fun question. And Stuart said we could do international jerseys. We could do, different countries, different jerseys. So I'm just going to list a couple. I don't know if I have a favorite. 1994, the USA away kit, absolute fire. For those of you who don't know what that looks like, Google it really quick. It's kind of like a dusty blue with the red stars on it, going down the body. Amazing kit. And then the most recent World Cup we had, the Nigerian kits for those. Oh my goodness, those were fire, absolute fire. I have one in my closet I'm looking at, where I literally can see it as I'm talking. And then I'll give one more shout out. It was in my head and I forgot it. The 1994 Nigeria jerseys as well. Absolute fire. My country has produced some amazing kits, so you guys should go and buy them. And be Nigeria fans if you aren't already. Mark, what are your favorites? Just list out a couple.
I really liked Arsenal's one from 05-06. I think it was called the Current, that purple one, Thierry Henry classic. Really like that one. I know it's Arsenal, but it's a good kit. And then for me, I saw it in the comments earlier, the Nigerian kit from 2018. I thought that was smashing. Yeah,
no, that was a really good one. I love that jersey. Anyway, James, what about you?
I've actually got a few of my favourites. So the pink Juventus top from the 90s, they've got Zidane on the back of that. That's a nice top. The Inter Milan one, the R9 played in, the black with grey stripes going down it, is another one. But I think the top two of mine goes back to the laces thing I was on about earlier. You've got France, I think it was 96 to 98. They had like a blue shirt with detailing on the side. And then I think all-time favourite would be, I think you'd have to Google it, but the Soviet Union one from the very late 80s. It's a fascinating design, but I think it's just a brilliant kit.
Interesting. Okay, Connor, what say you?
I've only really got two off the top of my head. So the AC Milan 2006. That's a team grew up kind of admiring from abroad. That team, Kaká, Inzaghi, Nesta, Maldini. What a team that was. And the other one is I can't remember whether it was 2012 or 2013. The Borussia Dortmund yellow and black with the black stripes down it. Again, another team that I admired from abroad. Obviously, unfortunately, Klopp was over there at the time, but that team, Lewandowski, Royce, just loved watching that team play. Similar to the Milan one, so it would be between one of those two.
No, that's a fair point. Yeah, those AC Milan teams, man. Oh my goodness, they were absolutely cracking. I'm gonna get in the comments real quick. I'm gonna try and wrap up and do one more question. Hama says, "Yo, Temi, they should do throwback shirts like in the NBA." I completely agree with that. I wish for football that did that more. So like here in the States, right, for NBA basketball, right, we'll have occasional games where they'll bring like throwback jerseys in, and like just have like a night where it's like a throwback night. And those throwback jerseys look great. I wish we would do something like that, but for marketing purposes, probably that's never going to happen. But wouldn't it be cool to see Marcus Rashford in a 99 kit? Like that would be pretty lit. That would be pretty lit. Let me see if we have one more question. Do we have any? Stuart says, who was the ginger center half that year for the USA? Alexi Lalas, excellent center back, by the way. Really, really good center back. Like probably USA's best ever center back. Bits and Bob says, I'm on that. How far, bro? Yes, I'm a Yoruba brother, my guy. So much love to you. Much love to you. I think that's all we have. How many likes are we at 25? We better be at 25. We better be at 25. Let me see really quick. We're on 19. You know what? If we get to 20 really quickly, I will ask that question. It's a pretty simple one. It's a pretty simple one. Let's get in the comments real quick. I saw some fun comments in here. 1998-99 favorite ever United shirt. 92-93 lace shirt, a close second. Favorite away one, black one. Yes, I was thinking about that one as well. I have that one, and it's a Cantona one. I have an Eric Cantona one. Oh my goodness, that shirt is fire. That kid is fire. Excuse me. Let's see. I feel like I'm missing some comments, but anyway, I'm just gonna ask this question. Honestly, I'm gonna ask this question. I gotta get some food in me. I literally have not eaten all day, so I'm hungry and I want to end the stream and eat food. So the question is simple: what team did Aaron Wan-Bissaka score his first goal for Manchester United? Who did Aaron Wan-Bissaka score his first Manchester United goal against? Is the way I should word this. Who did Aaron Wan-Bissaka score his first Manchester United goal against? If you can't get this right, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Would you look at that? I'm gonna put Mark's name in the hat. Wow, he got it correct. Wow. Oh yes, John Kermode, congratulations! You just got your name entered into a hat. Yes, Newcastle United. You better type it in right, bro. Type that in. I'm not accepting fake answers. Jacob, type it in real quick for me, and you're gonna get it. Oh, dude, I missed a ton actually. James. Oh, here we go. Ben, here we go. Tons and tons. You know what, Jacob? Because you always are consistent and you tune in and you show love every single Q&A show, I'm gonna accept Newcastle United. I really am, and also because I really just want to eat food. Newcastle Athletic. Yes, that's hilarious. Yes, sir. You already know what it is. None of you know what that means, but yes, I know what it means, so I put it up there. But anyway, that's the show, guys. We appreciate the time. We appreciate y'all tuning in with us. For all the great contributors who always show us love, always ask the questions. We appreciate you so much. Everyone, make sure to hit the like button for me if you haven't already. Show some love. You know what I'm saying? We want to get to at least 30 likes on this, on this video, and at least 200 views. You know what I'm saying? That's the goal here. You feel me? Jacob doesn't stop. He's too funny, man. Anyway, to Mark, Connor, James, I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you for sticking in there with me. This show is going to only get better and better and better. So make sure to tune into every single episode. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of great things in the works for All for United. You know what I'm saying? Make sure to tune into all the videos that are going to be coming out this weekend and all the match day content. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm going to be on this weekend, but I don't even know. That's a great question. Will I be on this weekend? But make sure to see Mark. I know Mark is probably going to be on, potentially Connor, potentially James. Make sure to tune in for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And we will talk to you all very, very shortly. Deuces.